Politics is changing fast and every decision shapes our future. In today's video, we're breaking down the latest headlines, the key players, and what it all means for you. Whether you're here to stay informed or spark debate, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. The four contenders in the Liberal leadership race participated in their only English-language debate, focusing on Canada's response to escalating threats from former U.S. President Donald Trump. With concerns over potential 25% U.S. tariffs and Trump's remarks about Canada's sovereignty, candidates outlined their strategies to counter these challenges. All contenders endorsed retaliatory tariffs against the U.S. if necessary, alongside efforts to strengthen the economy and accelerate military spending beyond the government's current plan. Rather than attacking one another, they directed their criticism toward Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, their likely opponent in the next federal election. Mark Carney, former Bank of Canada governor, highlighted his role in guiding Canada through the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis, and positioned himself as the best candidate to handle another economic downturn. He pledged to boost economic growth after what he described as years of stagnation under the current Liberal administration. While acknowledging Canada's inability to control Trump's policies, he emphasized the need for economic resilience and a stronger national defense, warning against any erosion of Canadian sovereignty. Carney's promise to raise defense spending to NATO's 2% GDP target by 2030 became a focal point of contention. Former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland and ex-government House leader Karina Gould argued for an even faster timeline. The debate underscored the Liberals' broader strategy, challenging Trump's economic and geopolitical moves while preparing for an electoral showdown with Poilievre. Reports suggesting the U.S. will impose tariffs on Canada and Mexico next week may be premature, according to the Trump administration. While President Donald Trump recently stated that tariffs are going forward on time, on schedule, the White House has clarified that no final decision has been made regarding broader North American tariffs, which remain paused until March 4th. Trump has threatened multiple trade measures, but it is unclear which tariffs his recent comments referred to. The administration is proceeding with retaliatory tariffs on various countries based on a report expected by April 1st, which could impact Canada due to its tax on U.S. digital platforms. However, these are separate from the severe 25% economy-wide tariff and the 10% oil tariff Trump has previously proposed for Canada and Mexico. Negotiations between the countries are ongoing. Canada's ambassador to the U.S., Kirsten Hillman, recently met with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and received positive feedback on Canada's border policies. The White House confirmed that discussions will determine the final decision on tariffs. Additionally, the White House dismissed a Financial Times report claiming that aide Peter Navarro is pushing to remove Canada from the Five Eyes intelligence sharing alliance. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order reinforcing healthcare price transparency by directing federal agencies to strictly enforce a 2019 order. The new directive requires the Departments of the Treasury, Labor, and Health and Human Services to develop a framework within 90 days to ensure hospitals and insurers disclose actual healthcare costs. The order mandates the disclosure of real prices rather than estimates, updates guidance on standardizing price information, and strengthens enforcement policies to ensure compliance. Trump emphasized that the policy aims to empower patients with clear cost details before seeking medical care. Trump's 2019 executive order had required hospitals to provide a consumer-friendly display of pricing for up to 300 shoppable services and to publish machine-readable files with negotiated rates for all services. Additionally, health insurers were required to disclose their negotiated rates with providers, out-of-network payments, and actual prices paid for prescription drugs. Despite legal challenges from hospital groups, arguing that the rule forces them to reveal private negotiations with insurers and undermines competition, courts upheld the policy, rejecting claims that it violated First Amendment rights. The renewed enforcement aims to increase transparency and affordability in healthcare, though it remains controversial among industry stakeholders. The U.S. Commerce Department has launched a national security investigation into copper imports, a move that could lead to new tariffs. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick stated that these measures aim to counter China's dominance in the global copper market. which has undercut prices and impacted domestic production. Lutnick emphasized the importance of revitalizing the American copper industry, arguing that domestic production is crucial for national defense. American industries depend on copper, and they should be made in America. No exemptions, he said. Canada, a key supplier of copper to the U.S., could face economic consequences if tariffs are imposed. The move adds to ongoing trade tensions as the U.S. explores various protectionist measures. Meanwhile, the administration clarified that the previously announced 25% tariffs tied to border security and fentanyl concerns remain on hold. A White House spokesperson indicated that negotiations are ongoing, and the referenced tariffs were actually related to reciprocal measures, which aim to match tariffs imposed by other nations on U.S. goods. These reciprocal tariffs are still set to proceed. The latest developments highlight the administration's broader strategy of leveraging tariffs to protect domestic industries while navigating trade negotiations with key global partners. Elon Musk's Starlink is being tested in Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) facilities as a potential replacement for a $2 billion contract currently held by Verizon. According to sources familiar with the matter, this move signals a possible shift in the FAA's air traffic communication system modernization efforts. Musk has criticized Verizon's system, calling it outdated and a risk to air travelers. His involvement raises concerns over potential conflicts of interest, as he serves as a senior White House advisor while leading multiple businesses, including SpaceX, Starlink's parent company. Experts warn of a lack of transparency regarding Musk's role in government contracts. The FAA has confirmed that Starlink terminals are being tested at sites in Atlantic City and Alaska, with another contractor, L3 Harris, acquiring and evaluating the technology for integration into the FAA's network. Meanwhile, Verizon, which was awarded a 15-year contract in 2023 to upgrade the FAA's communications system with fiber-optic cables, has already completed nearly $200 million in work and says it has received no official notice of contract changes. Further concerns arise from SpaceX employees receiving ethics waivers under the Trump administration, allowing them to work on federal projects that could benefit Musk's businesses. The FAA contract is not Musk's only government connection, as SpaceX and Tesla operate under multiple U.S. agencies, including NASA, the Department of Defense, and the General Services Administration. As discussions continue, former FAA officials caution that replacing Verizon with Starlink should undergo thorough testing and evaluation to ensure the safety and reliability of the aviation communication system. French President Emmanuel Macron took a diplomatic yet assertive approach during his meeting with former U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington. His visit aimed to reinforce transatlantic ties while carefully countering Trump's stance on key global issues, particularly Ukraine. Macron balanced praise with subtle corrections, repeatedly referring to Trump as Dear Donald while emphasizing the strong historical alliance between France and the United States. However, he did not shy away from challenging Trump's claims. When Trump suggested Europe would be reimbursed for supporting Ukraine, Macron interjected, highlighting that European nations had provided substantial financial aid. He also made it clear that Russia remains the aggressor in Ukraine. Macron's visit coincided with heightened European diplomatic activity in Washington. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer was scheduled to meet Trump, while EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas engaged in discussions with U.S. officials. European leaders are increasingly focused on bolstering their defense capabilities as American support for Ukraine remains uncertain. Macron has long advocated for European strategic autonomy, urging the continent to reduce its dependence on the U.S. for security. His meeting with Trump underscored this vision, with discussions on Europe potentially deploying peacekeeping forces in Ukraine. However, concerns persist that Trump could negotiate a rapid peace deal with Russia, without fully considering European interests, potentially leaving Ukraine vulnerable. European media noted growing tensions between the U.S. and its allies despite the warm public exchanges. French newspapers highlighted Trump's lack of concrete assurances regarding continued American support for Ukraine. As Europe braces for shifting geopolitical dynamics, Macron and other leaders are preparing for a scenario in which they must take greater responsibility for the continent's security. Former President Donald Trump has unveiled a plan to sell $5 million gold cards that grant legal residency and a path to U.S. citizenship for wealthy foreign investors. The initiative, expected to launch within 2 weeks, aims to generate significant revenue to help pay down the national debt. Trump described the program as an upgraded version of the current EB-5 visa, which grants green cards to investors meeting specific job creation criteria. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, appearing alongside Trump, confirmed that the EB-5 program would be replaced by the new initiative, requiring applicants to undergo vetting to ensure they are world-class global citizens. The program is expected to attract affluent individuals, including business leaders and top-tier professionals. Trump emphasized that cardholders would not be taxed on foreign income, but would be required to pay U.S. taxes on domestic earnings like any other resident. He projected that selling 1 million gold cards could generate $5 trillion, potentially surpassing the country's $35 trillion debt if expanded further. While the initiative does not grant automatic citizenship, Trump acknowledged that full citizenship rights would require congressional approval. He expressed confidence in the program's legality, and anticipated strong demand from international investors and major U.S. corporations seeking to attract top talent. That's it for today's deep dive into the latest political developments. Whether you agree or disagree, the conversation doesn't stop here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know if you want a different tone, more serious, engaging, or even humorous.